Hi, I'm Missy Bolden with K-12 Career Learning, and thank you for tuning in to On Location, our new weekly show where we interview working professionals from all walks of life to get invaluable advice on exploring, developing, and thriving in their chosen career. We would love to hear from you. Please give us any feedback. Leave your questions and comments in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe. I'm excited about our very first guest. He is actually a colleague of mine, and I've had the pleasure of working with him on many projects. Zack Gross, he is with me today, and he is a video producer and filmmaker. Welcome, Zack.
Hi, Missy. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. So let's just dive right into it. I want to know, when did you know you wanted to be a video producer and filmmaker?
I knew I wanted to be a filmmaker back in elementary school. I think it was like third or fourth grade. I may have told my parents that I wanted to be an actor. And then it was like maybe a year or two later that I figured out that I actually wanted to be a filmmaker because I wanted to write the stories. I wanted to be behind the camera, and I wanted to create worlds. And so I definitely knew in fifth grade that I wanted to be a filmmaker. That's where the journey started. So
talk a little bit about a turning point in your career and something you learned.
So I think the biggest turning point actually was college for me. I had known that I wanted to do film, and I wanted to be a filmmaker again since elementary school. But I had been kind of the film guy. I was the video guy in high school, and I was in theater. So I had actors to work with, and that was fun. But I was always the single lone film guy. And then I went to George Mason University, which is out here in Virginia. And that was where I met the crew and the other filmmakers that I do my films with. And that was probably the most influential because I met, my best friends and also my creative colleagues. Suddenly I had smarter people that were, forcing me to become better at all sorts of things. And I had people that were really supportive. And that I could be supportive to them. And, there was a community suddenly that I was connected to. And that's really, really what changed me from being kind of this like very amateur, very lone wolf, just kid with a video camera into what I consider to be a filmmaker.
And if you could just talk a little bit about maybe a moment that has been very rewarding, something that happened where you had that moment like, you know what, I'm really good at this. And I really think this is something that I could do for life.
My senior film that I did in college felt very much like that. It was the crew that I still work with to this day. We had pulled a budget together. We had pulled a crew together. We had pulled a script together that I was really happy with. I had always been like a comedy guy up until I did my senior project, and I decided to make a horror movie or kind of a creepy thriller. And that suddenly was like kind of eye-opening because I felt like I could do it pretty well. And it was a little bit more interesting. And we got, professional actors, and we went and shot on location for 4 days, and everything just ended up panning out and working, and it looked great. And that was up until the film I'm working on now. That was probably the best product I had created. And then a lot of the lessons that I learned on that short that I did translated into the film I'm working on now, which is a feature film.
Nice. So what advice would you give to students and really all learners who are on their journey to their chosen career?
So this applies to anybody, but I would highly recommend trying to connect with other people with your interests and in your community. and try and connect with other people professionals in the industry. I know that seems kind of daunting sometimes, but do an internship. I wish I had done an internship in high school. I wish I had done 3 internships. I did one kind of, barely an internship in college because it was a requirement, but I ended up working at that place after college, and learning a bunch of skills. But I so wish that I had connected and made stuff with other filmmakers back in high school. And I wish I had interned at production companies back in high school. I was not a great student. And part of it was I just knew I wanted to do film. So I looked at everything through that filter, and I got very antsy being in algebra, because it was really, I just knew what I wanted to do. And I think I would have been a better student because I would have had an outlet for that, instead of saying like, this doesn't apply to me, I want to be a filmmaker. I would have had older people who are professionals making a living saying, no, you do need to learn it because here's how it applies. Like, this is where you use the algebra, So yeah. That's my recommendation.
Great advice. And I just want to mention a couple of things that stood out. One, you were open to doing something new with that horror film. And then also speaking about having that outlet and having internships, and that is something that we provide our students with, having that career learning online opportunity. And last but not least, you mentioned that you knew what you wanted to do early on. And so I think that that's also very helpful for people when you kind of always know. Sometimes you might lose your way throughout that process, but starting to really pay attention as early as possible. What are those things that you gravitate to, and kind of holding on to that? I want to thank you so much for your time, Zack Gross. He is a video producer and filmmaker. And thank you for watching On Location, our very first episode. If you have any questions, concerns, we definitely want to hear from you. Anything you want to see on this channel, please let us know. Leave your comments. We want to be able to provide great information as we are all continuing to learn, grow, and thrive on this career journey. This is On Location, career and life advice from professionals in the field. You don't want to miss this next one. I'm going to be talking to someone who was a trapeze artist turned talent agent turned web designer. So be sure to join us next week.